Hello, everybody. It is Whimzy.Squrriel, and I'm dropping my speed builds, slow down, and to add some audio to them, I am going to read you guys Am I the A-hole stories. So, I'm excited, so let's hop right into it, shall we? Am I the a-hole for exposing my sister's fake infertility story with my ultrasound after she announced her pregnancy at my wedding and mom gave her my toast? Oh boy. My sister stood up during my wedding reception and announced she's pregnant. And my mom immediately grabbed the microphone from the DJ to make a toast about becoming a grandmother instead of saying one word about me or my husband. I watched my mom's hand shake as she held the microphones, tears running down her face, while she talked about how this was the best day of her life because she was finally going to be a grandma. My sister just sat there smiling at her table, one hand on her stomach, even though she couldn't be more than 6 weeks along. The whole room went silent. My husband grabbed my hand under the table, and I could feel how hard he was squeezing. Absolutely not. I would not. Mm. My maid of honor tried to get the mic back from my mom, but my mom literally turned her back on her. She went on for almost 5 minutes about baby names and how she always dreamed of this moment and how my sister was giving her the greatest gift. She didn't say my name once, not once during my own wedding reception. When she finally finished, everyone did this awkward half clap, and my sister got up and hugged her. I just sat there in my wedding dress, watching my whole family crowd around her table to congratulate her. My aunt even brought her a glass of water and made sure she was sitting down okay. Not at my wedding. This would have not been okay. um, I would disown the whole family at this point. My husband asked if I wanted to leave, and I told him no. We paid for this reception, and I wasn't going anywhere. So we cut the cake by ourselves and did our first dance while half of the room was still gathered around my sister talking about babies. Mm. The next day, my mom called and asked why I seemed off at the reception. And I told her she hijacked my wedding to celebrate my sister's pregnancy and didn't even give a toast to me and my husband. I said I was being oh, hold on, I had to reread that. She said I was being selfish and the family shares joys together. I asked her if she thought the timing was appropriate and she said my sister was just so excited she couldn't wait. They're the whole family away. I would know. That's not okay. I told her that's BS. My sister knew exactly what she was doing, and she could have told the family literally any other day, but she chose my wedding. And my mom chose to make it about her instead of shutting it down. My mom got quiet and then said, "You know, your sister has always been sensitive about these things, and this is really important to her." Okay, and what about her wedding? It was important to her about her wedding and you didn't stick up for her. What? I said I didn't care and hung up. Get it, sister. I didn't talk to either of them for 2 months. My sister sent text asking what her problem was, and hold on, saying she thought I'd be happy for her. My mom sent long messages about how I was tearing the family apart about over nothing. I blocked them both. Then I found out I was pregnant. We weren't trying, but we weren't preventing either. And honestly, after the wedding disaster, it felt like the universe was trying to make it up to me. My husband was thrilled. We told his family and few close friends, but I specifically didn't tell my side because I knew what would happen. Ooh, I'm sorry, but telling your family is important, but never like this. I'm so sorry. Uh, ooh, you know what? She deserves not to tell her family. She deserves that. Like, her family deserves not knowing. My mom showed up at my house crying. She said she heard I was pregnant and didn't understand why I wouldn't tell her. I can think of a few reasons. I told her she is very clear. She made it very clear at my weddings whose pregnancy she actually cared about. She started saying I was being cruel and she loves me and of course she cares. I asked I asked if she was planning to give a toast at my baby shower or she'd wait for my sister to have another announcement to make. She didn't think that was funny. You know what? I think that's funny. Clock it. She left and I thought that was the end of it. But then extended family started getting weird with me. My uncle called and said he heard about my situation and that he understood why I was lashing out. My other aunt sent this long text about how infertility is hard, but I shouldn't take it out on my sister? What? I called my cousin and asked what the H was going on. She told me my sister's been telling everyone that I'm struggling with infertility, and that's why I cut her off after the wedding. I'm flabbergasted that I was jealous of her pregnancy and having a breakdown about it. I was 6 months pregnant at that point, very obviously showing. The lie was insane. Yeah, your sister's insane, and I think she needs to have a evaluation very quickly. Like, no, this is not okay. I sent a group text to my entire extended family with a photo of my ultrasound and due date and said, just so everyone knows, I'm not infertile. I'm pregnant and due in 3 months. My sister lied to you because I cut her off for announcing her pregnancy at my wedding reception and because my mom gave her a toast instead of to me and my husband. I'm done with both of them. Oh my god. Oh my god. My phone blew up. My sister called me 17 times. My mom sent voice messages screaming about how I humiliated them. Half of my family was apologizing, and the other half was asking what really happened at the wedding. My sister sent one text that said, I'm your sister. You're supposed to forgive me. That's not how it works, babes. I'm sorry. That's just not how it works. I replied, you're not invited to my baby shower. Clock it. She lost it. She called me from my mom's phone and they were both crying, saying, I can't exclude her from family events. Yes, you can. I told them they excluded me from my own wedding reception, so now we're even. I hung up and blocked my mom's number too. The baby shower is next month, and my husband's family is hosting, and it's going to be small and actually about us. Aw. My dad called and asked if he could come without my mom. I told him yes, but if she shows up, I'm calling the police for trespassing. He said he understood. My sister apparently had her baby 2 weeks ago. I know because my cousin sent me photos without asking if I wanted to see them. I deleted them. I deleted them. I don't care. She made her choice at my wedding and I made mine. From now, my mom is sending emails saying I'm keeping her from both of her grandchildren and that I'm destroying the family. My dad says she cries every day. Some of my relatives think I just I just get over it. I should just get over it for the sake of family peace. Am I being too harsh? Um, no. Absolutely not. I don't think you are. Personally, to me, this whole family just needs to go away. Like, go hide in a corner somewhere. Like, I do not, like, you do not need this in your life at all. And there are updates, so we're gonna catch up on the updates. Ooh, ooh. I did not mean to hit the record video, but from someone, Reddit did deem this person not the a hole. And from what I can tell from everybody saying, like, this was a great one, you know, everybody's saying, why does, someone says, why does the family always hijack important events for their own selfish ends? I know this is some, like, I can't say those words, but to me, it's not okay. Like, personally to me, I I rather not do this. uh yeah, no, you are not the a-hole. So, we're going to move on to our next story. Just give me a minute. Alrighty, everybody. I had to get a sip of water because I was not expecting the first story to be that long. So, we are going to get into our second story here. And our second story is, am I the a hole for telling my cheating ex wife to tell her sob story to someone who cares? Mm, I, 40 male, married to my ex wife, Lisa, 40 female, 20 years ago. We married for 5.5 years and we had two children together who are 18 and 16 now. Our marriage ended when I found Lisa in bed with another man after coming home from work. Lisa tried to deny an affair was happening and insisted she had simply offered this guy a place to crash for the night. Crash into something. um, but even if I had tried to ignore the more obvious signs and believe her, she sent our kids to my parents' house and had not mentioned anyone staying over, so I would have been a fool to believe her. Okay. A little wild there, Lisa, but you know what? I, there's no excuse for it. Um, I don't. You found them in bed together. What? Like, oh yeah, he accidentally crashed in our bed. Yeah, and he crashed into something else too. So, after I filed for divorce, Lisa found out she was pregnant and tried to tell me I was the father and that we should get back together. Then said I couldn't then I said I couldn't be the father, which I already knew because I had a vasectomy and did all my checkups. Then she miscarried and blamed me. That is wild. That is very wild. Citing the stress of divorce and fighting custody of our kids as the reason, even though she was the one who wanted sole custody of our kids and for me to pay 5K a month in child support, which wasn't even possible. 5K is a very high number and that is very demanding depending on what you do as a job. I If you're just a normal human being, there's no way you're able to pay 5K a month. Like, that is insane. She lived with her affair partner And around this time, he got arrested and she stayed in his house. Oh, she's just not making good choices. He served about 2 years. So our divorce was finalized and everything. We had shared physical and legal custody 50-50, and had a court ordered parenting agreement that spelled out everything. Our kids hated Lisa's husband. He was a POS and highly jealous of the fact Lisa had to share custody of the kids with me. Okay, and he needs to get over it. Like that sounds like a him issue, not gonna lie. He was an overbearing drill sergeant with them. He checked their stuff that moved between the houses with them, including their school backpack, and he confiscated any food they had with them. Even if it was from school. No, absolutely not. That is not okay. No. Like, I would be throwing down anybody who tried to take food away from my kids. Most of the time, he ate it himself or tossed it in the trash. He'd write notes to me and insist my kids give them to me. Lisa knew all of this. No. 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 Personally, no. I would be taking her back to court. The kids complained to her, and it made Lisa complain to me, and she took me to court once saying I was engaging in alienation because the kids complained about her husband to her. The judge didn't entertain her beyond letting her make her case in court. Uh-uh. Absolutely not. I would tell the judge, well, her husband is like abusing my children. I want custody of my children. Like, there's just no way. Lisa and her husband Lisa and her husband's personal life was a mess. She found out he lied about having a kid when they met, and he found out he had fathered another kid when him and Lisa were cheating behind my back. Oh Lord. These kids moved in with them full time, and Lisa tried to sue for more child support, which I did pay some, but not a large amount because we had kids and because we had kids in an equal amount of time. My kids struggled with everything and they'd talk to me. I had to fight to get them into therapy because Lisa refused to wait, hold on. Let me reread this sentence. Let me take off my glasses and reread this. Do not She refused to she refused consent, and she accused me of trying to ruin them with an expense like that. Even when I agreed to pay the full amount, she said no. But the judge overruled her when I took this to court. Oh my god. Absolutely not. No, this is not okay. I would never do this. Like, no. At this point, I would just take her to court for full custody and just be like, look at the history at this point. My kids were under and my kids were under increased pressure to bring stuff from my house to their mom's house so the other kids could play with their games. My kids hated going to their moms, but my first attempt to get majority slash full custody failed. The kids were too young for their voices to be heard. I did what I could to support them and be there for my kids. Good. That is a good dad. They grew increasingly unhappy there, And finally, 3 years ago, I was rewarded full custody because of the wishes of the kids. Awesome. I'm so happy. Yes, those kids deserve happiness. Like, their mom is a whole mess at this point. By that point, Lisa had two more children with her husband, and my kids never bonded with the step or half siblings and do not care about maintaining contact with them and still wanted to live with me alone. Child support the was then changed from me paying to Lisa to pay. She was paying him now. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't think because the way this is written, the English is a little broken. So I think this is, a little weird. She had to reduce once last year for financial difficulties facing in her household. Okay. In the last couple of months, Lisa has contacted me of a grand total of 42 times via email asking for financial support and for me to send our kids' old stuff to her house. I wrote back one time clearly stating I would not and ignored further emails. My lawyer has them documented, but the most I've done with them, and that's the most I've done with them. Instead of leaving it alone, she confronted me and tried to tell me this sob story about struggling to feed and clothe and take care of the four kids in her household. But I shot her down and told her to tell the sob story to someone who cares because their household is none of my concern. Thank you. Okay, here's my intake on this is that at the end of the day, if she did not care about her own kids that she had, I'm not feeling any sympathy for this person whatsoever because obviously you did not care about your other kids, but you care now about these kids because you're with a different person, and that's not okay with me personally. Right? Let's see, where was I? Um, Here we are. In the response to what I said, she wrote a very lengthy email that I skimmed and sent, and she sent a former friend of ours who sided with her in the divorce to confront me about abandoning her twice and being cruel. She abandoned you the moment she cheated. I shut that person down. It was 12 or more years ago when I last saw them. However, I am aware that Lisa is still the mother of my kids. I don't know. I know they don't care for a relationship with their mother or step or half siblings right now, but that could change. Maybe I'm not creating the best environment for them right now. More specifically because more specifically because of how I spoke to Lisa when she asked for help. I know all that did was worsen things between us. Does this make me the a-hole? That's all I want to know. And this person was not deemed the a hole. And here are some comments, right? From some people. She knows you are a nice guy. That's why you're a father and a good backup. Get a court approved app and block on everything. Have your lawyer send her a cease and desist letter about personal contact and a threat of a restraining order. This is not likely, but a good threat. This is where you need to be strong. She gets nothing if your kids come to you for begging for her, like begging her to help and all of that. Then it's your call. People's actions have consequences. Point blank. Period. Stay strong, my brother. Your kids are lucky to have you, and you are a great role model. Here's my whole thing: is that she chose to basically step out of this relationship. She abandoned the marriage. She abandoned her partner first the moment she did this. And then she continues to abandon her children and all of that, and continues to make worse decisions. And that personally is not okay with me. I don't believe you're being the a hole, and I don't ever think your kids will ever have that relationship with her because the damage is done. When they really needed a mother, their mother chose not them at any point at all. Like, she just kept being selfish and selfish and selfish, and that just proves in her thing that she just kept doing it and she just did not care whatsoever. And to me, that is just not okay. So, in that point in case, I believe that, you are not the a hole. And if they want to have relationships with their mom, allow them to have those relationships. But if their mom is going to whisper in their ear about you, I feel like your kids will be smart enough to figure that out, that she's trying to manipulate them, which, is okay. So that's just how I feel about the situation. Like, they are going to be smart enough. I feel like they will be fine if they ever want to get back in contact, but I feel like that is not going to happen. Um, that's all. So on to our next story. Alrighty, y'all. We are about to move on to our next story. And this one is: Am I the a hole for telling my mother in law I don't care about her sob story and she needs to move on and shut up? Alright. Mother in law and I used to get along alright. And she used to babysit my daughter one day a week to help with the cost of childcare. Okay. I had cameras set up in the house because honestly my daughter's safety is most important. Like, it's the most important thing to me. This was not specific to mother-in-law, but my stepmom babysat occasionally, as well as a teenager I paid. Okay, so you wanted to keep an eye. That's fine. I used to check in fairly often. One time mother in law did something I didn't like. And it wasn't anything terrible. Just, we have different styles, and I asked her not to do that again. But obviously, she found out about the cameras. Oh. So you didn't tell anybody, which, depending on the state you live in, and depending on all the laws, technically you need to tell people there are cameras recording them. Now, I do not know all the laws surrounding them, but at one point or another, I believe in some states, and I don't know where this person lives, but I'm just saying, like, in most states, you do need to tell people if you have recording things in your house and stuff like that, so they are aware, just in case. But sometimes in other states, you do not know, so keep that in mind. Okay. It wasn't anything terrible. Okay, so you're just okay, so what did she do? We just have different styles, and I asked her not to do that again. Okay. So, different parenting styles. Sometimes with different parenting styles that clashes, it's okay. But obviously she found out about the cameras. Oh. Mother-in-law flipped the F out. Now I know why. Father-in-law did not allow her to eat much. Whoa. Just grilled chicken and lettuce. And when she came to my house, she would eat junk food. Oh my god. So you're just like, "Oh, I support my father-in-law." No. That is not okay. That is 100% fine. And I would have never outed her, but she has issues with food because father-in-law is constantly humiliating her in public. He was an A and had the attitude that he paid for a trophy wife and she was going to look like one. You are not doing that. That is messed up. You are not. Oh, no. My mother in law screamed at me, and I reassured her that I know she eats at my house, and that is our secret. And she was pissed about the cameras and stopped babysitting. That was years ago. She is now engaged to someone who doesn't. Okay, so she moved on. They got a divorce. Okay. doesn't suck like father in law. We don't get along very well anymore, and she frequently makes comments about me being creepy and little jokes about me being a peeping Tom. Okay, I do not like that. I have let a lot of us go because we don't see her often, but it gets old fast. The other day, I mentioned my mom visiting and staying in hotels, and mother in law's fiance made a joke about who makes their mom stay in a hotel. Okay, we're not gonna read that part because that is a little racist. And mother in law added she would rather stay in a hotel because I would probably put cameras in the bedroom. I just snapped and told her what it says in the title and to shut the f up. She kind of got pissy and left soon after. My husband says I'm in the clear, but some other family was there and felt like I was being too harsh. Now everyone is calling me the a-hole behind my back. I know from one informant cousin. Okay. This person has been deemed the asshole, and I believe they are the asshole, but here's the reason why I believe they are the a hole in this stance is because one, you should let people know there are cameras depending on the state. Technically they can come after you if if it is breaking a law, but at the same time you may be over the situation, but at the same time like she's not over the situation, right? She felt like she could be somewhere safe, and she was in a very, I guess, toxic like relationship. Like it was toxic, and she felt like she could have somewhere safe to eat. And you saying like, oh, I know that you're eating here, probably made her feel a little creeped out, like, why are you watching me? Which I get it. No one likes to be watched. I don't think anybody in the human world likes to be watched at all. So that is, you know, I believe you are the a hole for doing that, but I also believe you are the a hole for basically just, not understanding her circumstances and what she's gone through, which I don't expect you to, but at the same time, like, it is really, really, it's a little harsh. Like, I think both of you just need to sit down and have a conversation about the whole situation, because at that point it's just getting ridiculous and sad. And I say sad very lightly. Like, I believe you are the a-hole for this. And in other states as well, because this could be crossing legal boundaries and all of this. I do not know where this person's at. Again, I'm just saying it is illegal to record minors without their permission or without their acknowledgement, and if you are paying a teenager and you are recording them, I would look into that. So yes, I do believe you are the a-hole for multiple reasons, actually. um but yeah, I think you were being a little too harsh, and I think you just need to take a step back and, reevaluate, because, you know, it did not sound very well. It, and someone wrote, well, if you put surveillance cameras in your home without anyone's knowledge and they find out you're surveilling them, why they are doing you a favor, I think it should come off as a surprise that they'd be upset and find it creepy. True. You're over it clearly doesn't mean your mother in law is. Why are you surprised some of your family thinks you're an a hole for blowing up on your mother in law? Right? And it's like someone wrote, but were the cameras hidden? I have cameras all over my apartment, but they are pretty obvious. You know, and that's the thing, is if they were hidden, that's a different ball game. But if you, I think you should have been open and honest about the idea of her like telling them like, hey, I have cameras here. Just be open and honest to people about that. unless you are trying to catch something. And obviously, I don't know if you are or not, but normally you just need to be cautious of that and be careful and look up the laws and do all of that before you even do any of this. So, Reddit has deemed this person the a hole. So, let's go on to our next set, shall we? Alrighty, everybody. The next story is: am I the a hole for telling my dad that his wife and her daughters were never my family? Alrighty, so here we go. I, 23 female, was 7 when my dad married his wife, Karen. Oh. Okay. My mom, are these like names made up? My mom had left when I was really young and was never involved in my life. So it was always just me and my dad before that. Karen had 3 daughters from her previous marriage. One was a few years older than me, and one was around my age, and the youngest was a toddler. I remember being excited at first because I thought I was finally getting sisters. That didn't happen. Oh. My daughter, the daughter closest to my age, made it very clear she didn't want anything to do with me. If I tried to join a game, she'd leave. If I tried to sit with her, she'd move. It wasn't outright bullying, but it was consistent rejection. When people consistently reject you, you kind of get used to it and you don't ever want to have those relationships. The older sister was even worse. She'd openly tell me I wasn't their sister and that I was only around because our parents got married. Their relatives, it sounds like they're very bitter. Sounds like they are very, very bitter. The relatives weren't much better. Birthdays, holidays, family gatherings, they would bring gifts for Karen's daughters and sometimes completely ignore me. I still remember one Christmas when everyone was opening up presents and I got a generic gift card while the other girls got thoughtful gifts that they obviously picked out in advance. No, that's not okay. I don't care. I don't think stepchildren should be treated like this in any way. If you are treating your stepchild like this and you're allowing this behavior, I would really sit down and reevaluate my life. I spent half a day hiding in the bathroom crying because I felt stupid for being surprised. My dad always tried to make up for it. Aw, that's sweet. If I got left out, he'd buy me something or take me somewhere. Looking back, I know he was trying. And, at least he was trying, but it still doesn't make up for the fact on how you were treated. But what I wanted wasn't stuff. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. As I got older, I stopped trying and I spent more time with friends and got a part time job. And basically stayed out of the house whenever I could. By the time I was 18, I moved out and never looked back. I still talk to my dad occasionally, but our relationship has always been complicated. Recently, he invited me to a big family dinner with Karen, her daughters, and their husbands, kids, and some extended relatives. I told him I wasn't interested. He asked why, and I asked why, and I said because they're not my family and never were. That upset him. He said we've all been a family for 15 years and that I need to let the past go. I told him that from my perspective that they were never anything. Hold on. I told him from my perspective there was never anything to let go of because there was never a relationship there to begin with. He said he said that wasn't fair because he spent years trying to keep everyone together and make things work. But that is not his place. I'm sorry. I think most people who get married feel like they have to make things work between the kids and that's just not so, I guess, cuz like once a child makes that rejection in their mind, they are going to make that rejection for almost entirety, right? They've already made up their feelings about this person. And either the girls were bitter about something or they were upset. Either way, that behavior wasn't corrected. And thus, it not being corrected, ended with consequences. He got quiet after that and said I was being harsh. Now I was wondering if I crossed a line. I know my dad loves me and I know he tried in his own way, but I also feel like he's rewriting history and expecting me to pretend we're one big happy family when that was never my reality. Am I the a hole, please? No. Honestly, you are not the a hole. These people deemed them not the a hole. Um, like someone says, honestly, your dad is trying to clear his own conscience now because deep down he knows he failed you. Buying you random stuff instead of actually confronting his wife and her bratty kids about excluding you was the ultimate cop out. He enabled the bad behavior for 15 years and now he wants you to play pretend so he can feel like a good parent. Point. Point blank, period. And I know, like, when some people, when they get married, you do not choose if that child is going to have a step parent. All right, it is always the child that's going to choose if they want that person to be a parental figure on them. Just because you marry their parent does not mean you are going to be their, you know, you you're not going to be a step parent to them, right? Because the child probably will never see you as a step parent or as a parental figure unless you really work for it. And allowing this behavior to go on for so long gave this person a sense of like a sense of wanting to belong somewhere, and that is really like deep. And she's very very clear-minded as a young adult. I believe she's young. But she's it's it's one of those things, and I 100% agree that she, you know, she deserves, to be happy. And if those people do not fit in her happiness, then who are you to say that they cannot be happy, right? Like, who are you to say that they needed to be part of that person's life to be happy? I'm sorry, my words always get tangled because I have a lot of things to say and I never really get to fully say it. But honestly, I think sh- like I really think that she should have like he should have tried harder. He should have cleared that, but instead he didn't because most people believe happy wife, happy life, but sometimes that's just not the case and you really need to stick up for your kids when it matters because those kids are going to remember that. Alrighty, on to the next story. Alrighty, y'all, we're on to the next story, and this story is called Am I the A hole for insulting my dad after he blamed me for a car accident caused by my autistic sister? Alright, so my sister, 17, and I, 18, were in a taxi that was on the side of an uncrowded, narrow road. I told her to open the door and get out when it's safe to do so, while I paid for the taxi. Okay. She didn't check any cars passing and opened the door, which let which led to a car crashing into the door of the taxi. I want to clarify that my sister is on the spectrum and not severely, but she lacks certain awareness and empathy, okay? She's also very coddled, which has led her to being entitled and unable to do basic tasks by herself. Okay, that's not a good thing. I didn't think she was idiotic and careless enough to cause something like this, though. I would get it if she was 15, but she's literally almost an adult now. Instead, I'm sorry, I'm losing brain cells as I read this, and I'm trying not to read ahead. But instead of speaking to the driver and sorting things out, she ran away. Me and the driver exchanged information, and I informed my mom that I suggested that the money for the damages be taken out of my sister's savings, in which she threw a tantrum over claiming she will not pay any money to that guy. We are going for we were going for a day out, and I asked my mom if I should cancel that as a punishment for her, in which my mom denied. Okay. So how are you guys gonna pay this off? Like, I was forced to buy her ice cream and things she wanted. Absolutely not. Will not. Nope. I'm sorry. If you are having to do this instead of giving your daughter a real life punishment, this is going to really affect her in the real world cuz she can go to jail for this. When I got home, my dad called me about the situation, and when I told him I told her to get out of the car when it's safe, he was ballistic. He said that you should never open the door facing the road, and everything was my fault, and I was being effing stupid over this. I asked him how I was being effing stupid when I've done it a million times because I checked if the road was empty or not. And the only reason why this happened was my sister, just dumb A, carelessly, carelessly opening opened the door. We argued more, and and now I'm required to apologize to him for calling him stupid about my sister, and nothing happened to her. She was barely scolded and then defended for being different and special by my family members while I was being yelled at by my father. Absolutely not. This is real life entitlement at its finest. If you are going to keep cuddling her in real life situations, if she does this again and her sister is not around, she could actually end up in jail, right? I get like some people, you know, do not have, I guess, certain things for awareness, and I get it, and I'm very respectful of it. But at the same time, you're you're not it is not your responsibility, and one, you are teaching your child that whatever they can do, they can just get away with it if they cry hard enough, and this is not okay, right? And someone said, not the a hole, you're being parentified. Exactly. You should never force your child to go through this ever and try to have them parent your other child who isn't an adult. At the end of the day, I feel like the sister's very aware that she isn't an adult and she's going to do whatever she wants because she knows she can go cry to mommy and daddy and everybody will defend her because she's on the spectrum, right? Children who are on the spectrum, right, and who can function like normal humans, because I am one of them, know what is right and what is wrong most of the time, right? Some of us may lack cues and stuff like that, but I promise you, most of the time, and I'm talking 95% of the time, we know if we are right or wrong. So there there is some cases here where it's, you know, it it makes me kind of sad that the parents aren't taking responsibility, she's not taking responsibility, and you're just the family scapegoat, which is not okay. It's never okay to be the family scapegoat, right? So I think honestly, by the time you turn 18, I should start making plans if I were you to get ready to move out, get a job, and really just go low contact with your family while you live with them. And I mean by no low contact, stop hanging out with your sister and stuff like that. And that way you don't have to deal with it as much. Anyway, on to the next story, shall we? Alrighty, everybody, we're on our next story, and this story is called Am I the a hole for calling my daughter's assorted boyfriend Baskin Robbins? Okay, that is wild. That is really wild. Okay, so for context, he has already posted on here. So last time I posted here was concerning my son Kevin, and to be honest, a lot of you gave really good advice. I'm very, very glad to report that Kevin's not only got out of that toxic relationship in the end, but he ended up joining the army and did a lot of growing up. And honestly, so did I. And he and I have a very close relationship. And he calls me constantly for dad advice. I couldn't be more proud of him and the man he become. And I think he meant became, but he's what become. Now on to the current situation. Okay. So this tells me that his wife has two kids before and he is the stepdad. Okay. So now on to the daughter, right? My youngest daughter, 17 female, we'll call her Sarah. And she has a Disney princess style romantic side to her. Oh, that's so cute, you know? And she wants her fairy tale relationship. Okay. And like JG Wentworth, she wants it now. Okay. 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 I don't think you should be talking about your daughter's relationship, like your stepdaughter's relationships, like at all. Like I get you have some concern, but this is perfectly normal because girls do have that tendency of I want my shining like my knight in shining armor and stuff like that. Most girls are like that. Some girls are like I just want a dude who will ride motorcycles and buy me a monster, right? So it all fits into the girl fantasy. Right? She's just a girl. She has an example. Immediately, she has the example of my wife and I set for her. Okay. We have an absolute wonderful marriage. Okay. My wife is my best friend, and the house is always full of laughter. Aw, that's cute. The problem is she wants that at 17, which I've tried to tell her is not a realistic expectation. Now, this is not always true. This is very much a realistic expectation, and the reason why I know this is because I know tons of couples who've met in middle school or in high school and they stayed together and they've been together for a very long time. And I know one of these, they're like my brother and my sister-in-law, they met, I believe, freshman year of high school. They started dating and they are married. They got married after high school and they have been together for a while, almost 10 years, like close to 10 years now. I'm not too sure, but I know they've been together for a long time, right? And so that being said, they've been together. Now they've been married for maybe like 4, 5, 6 years. I think 2 years more than me, so 7 years. So yeah, they have definitely been together for a while, and they are the happiest couple I know. Right? They truly love each other, and my brother always puts his wife first. Right? So this is realistic, but it is very rare to happen. Right? The desire has led to veritable string of pestudo boyfriends over the last 2 years. Don't ask for the count because honestly, I don't like that. It was enough that I had made a comment to my wife until one of them has an actual brain, two brain cells to rub together and sticks around. I'm not going to learn their names, okay? So they're all going to be Baskin Robbins to me since they're the flavor of the week. Okay, I do not like that. The way you're talking about your daughter is making her sound out to be like she's dating, multiple boys. And like don't get me wrong, dating a boy here and there in high school or stuff like that. It's there's nothing wrong with it, right? And she's at that age of, you know, she's almost an adult where she wants to start finding a partner, right? And having that romance in her life, right? Which most girls should have, right? Some girls don't, and you know what? Cheers to you, queen. You go and do what you need to do. But some girls really do want this fantasy in their life. Now, this thing, like this romance, right? I just don't like the fact that you're saying that she's bringing home a new dude every week because there's 52 weeks in the whole year. I think 52 to 60 weeks in the whole year, right? Somewhere around there. I'm not too sure. I just know it's 50, 60, something like that. Anyway. And you're basically saying every week that's 52 dudes in 2 years. Let me do the math. 52 plus 52, I think. That's 4. Bring over the 1. Wait, no, there's no 1. 102 dudes. Wait, no, 104 dudes. Wait. Yeah, 104 dudes. I'm not good at math, and I will never go in a career where I'm good at math ever. But it it's you're not making it sound too good, and honestly, for you even making that joke is not okay. And plus it's showing that you are not respecting your daughter's relationships enough to care, and that's probably what she's looking for. She's probably looking for approval of you and like her mom, and if she's not finding that approval, she's breaking up with them, you know? So now, all right. So now I love and adore my daughter. She's incredibly sweet and has an absolute maniac, goofy side to her, and she often reminds me of Gilda Radner during her SNL stint, right? SNL stint or stunt? I think he means stint, but it matters of the heart and actual love. She has no experience because of her age. And conversation with regarding it ends in some variation of "you don't understand, dad," thrown out to being thrown out to my mom and dad. If you're reading this, I genuinely am sorry for everything I put you as a teenager. I told my Baskin Robbins joke to a friend of mine recently, and she visibly got heated and said I was an a-hole for this, and saying it made my daughter out to be some kind of W word, which absolutely blindsided. See, making jokes like that, you're making it sound like your daughter is doing something she should not be doing. Right? Dating a boy here and there, I think you're kind of being dramatic about that. But at the end of the day, like, love is love, right? And if you're setting a good example for her at a young age, like, as she knows what that looks like, and that's what she's looking for. And if she's not finding it, I would gently push her into that way. Again, it's always nice to gently push your teenagers in the right way instead of just flat out making fun of them or stuff like that, because at that point you're saying like you can't come to me to talk about your relationships, and you're kind of pushing them away, and that's just how the teenager mind works, right? And I absolutely agree with your friend. I do not like the fact that you did make that joke, because that's a lot of boys, right? Made my daughter out to some kind of, which obviously blindsided me. I'm always viewed that joke as a reflection on the teenage male experience and not my daughter. See, you're thinking like a male instead of a female. Technically, girl math, I dated him. I didn't even date him. I talked to him for a day. We never dated, right? That's girl math. He doesn't exist, right? He never existed mentally to me. He wasn't what I was looking for. And some guys do that as well. Like some guys, they're like, you know what? We've only talked so and so. They do not matter to me, right? I never count them as, in my relationships, right? So, so edit, he did update. He said, "Thank you to those who gave genuine advice and DMs. This helped me see things in a different light that my brain honestly never considered. Yes, the joke will be stopping, and yes, more and concentrated effort will be made to retain names." Yeah. So it's very important to be respectful, because she's probably looking for that my dad my dad I need my dad's approval. And to a little girl and to a teenage girl who loves her parents, she's going to look for her parents' approval no matter what. And Reddit did deem this person the a-hole. And um, so on to the next story, shall we? Alrighty, we're on to our next story, and this one is: am I the a-hole for skipping my biological daughter's graduation to attend my potential stepkids instead? Oh boy. Here we go. Hold on. I gotta take off my jacket for this. Because you're already the a hole. Unless this is a really good reason, you are the a hole already. I, 41 male, have an ex, which I have 3 children with. One I one of which I recently had her high school graduation. And it's her high school graduation. No. My daughter Angie, 17 female, late birthday, invited me to her graduation. And I said I'd be there. I'm currently in a committed relationship to my girlfriend of a few months a 41 female who has a daughter, Lauren, 24 female. Lauren recently graduated with a bachelor's in biology. Okay, that doesn't, no. A week before the graduations, I was given an invite by my girlfriend and Lauren to her graduation. Are they not on different days? Are they all on the same day? Because, like, where I live in a small town, so, like, normally graduations are held on different days in different stadiums. Different stadiums, different days. And then, like, where I also grew up, different days, same stadium in another small town I grew up in, right? Her father passed away, and she told me it would mean the world to have someone there to support her in his place. I agreed before learning what the date and time of the event was. No! Okay, just because, and I get it, I sympathize with people whose parents have passed away, right? My dad passed away, and trust me, I would do anything to have him there. But that does not give you the ticket to not be a father to your other child at all. The day of the graduation, I was getting ready to head over to Angie and her mother's house to head off to the ceremony. My girlfriend asked me why I'm getting ready too early, and I explained it's in 2 hours and got an hour drive, and I want to make sure I'm there on time so I don't hold them up, as well as travel time to the venue. Then she cuts me off to say that she had no idea that was today and told me today was also Lauren's graduation, which Lauren's ceremony was 3 hours after the start time of Angie's graduation. I did some math and I figured I had time to be at least be partially present for Angie's graduation, give her the gift I had for her, take some pictures beforehand, but my girlfriend was not too happy about the idea, stating it would be devastating if I didn't keep my promise to Lauren. You promised your daughter first, right? This is your girlfriend, right? If she was the stepmom, it still wouldn't be okay, right? And I didn't keep, and that I wouldn't be stepfather material. That's manipulative. That's toxic. That's very manipulative. If I blew her off like that, I tried to explain I'd still be there for the entirety of Lauren's ceremony with this plan, but she wouldn't listen. And it wouldn't give me any reason other besides of me just owing it to her and her daughter. That's the thing, is that you don't owe her daughter anything. Like, just because you're her mom's boyfriend does not mean you are this stepfather, right? You are the boyfriend. And you also have other kids to worry about. What are you going to do when your stepdaughter, quote unquote, stepdaughter, Lauren, has other things and your other kids have other things at the same time? You're just going to blow your other kids off? You are just going to blow off that commitment to them as well? That doesn't make sense. No. Right? So I let that get the best of me and gave Angie a call. Told her I was having issues with my car and wouldn't be able to attend. However, I would see her as soon as I could to get the gifts and take her out to dinner to celebrate with her. I went to Lauren's ceremony later in the day of a course, and I was in some pictures which were posted on Facebook and I was tagged in them. My wife and probably Angie too saw the photos on my page. So your ex-wife, okay. Yeah, my ex-wife was livid, saying I betrayed my daughter and blew her off for some other kid I barely know and have any responsibility for. Your ex-wife is right. You do not have any responsibility to her. That girl is grown up, right? That girl is now an adult. She is in college. You know, she's raised. So is your other daughter, but your other daughter's not an adult yet. You were part of your kid's life before this person came around. She doesn't need a she needs a father, but she doesn't need, right, a father figure. You get what I mean? She doesn't need somebody to tell her, "Hey, make your bed." She's already an adult and she's already gone through life without this, right? And I'm not saying nobody deserves a father. They do. But in this case and scenario, at this point, this girl, this woman is already all grown up, right? You know, she has the support of her mother and all of that. And I just feel like this is very manipulative and not okay to do, right? My ex wife was livid, saying I betrayed my daughter and blew her off for some other kid I barely know or have any responsibilities to for. I tried to play it off like we took Lauren's car, but she didn't listen. She said I could have done better and could have done more. Which stuff like Uber or Lyft, I could have gotten a ride, which is true. I cared enough to if I cared enough to see her and pay the fees, but I decided not to, and I don't deserve to be in her life anymore. Angie isn't responding to my calls to set up an agreed upon dinner date to celebrate her achievement. Am I the a hole? Or are they just blowing things out of proportion? I can understand not even bothering to attend partially would make me an a hole. You didn't bother to attend at all. You allowed your new girlfriend to peer pressure you into giving up something that is very big and momentous to, you know, a child. Your daughter is still technically a child. She's still a teenager. And she really needed both of her parents, and you just to back out on her like that is wrong. Alright. Edit. Alright. Context. Me and Angie were never close. Doesn't change that. You are her father at the end of the day. What if she wanted that? What if she wanted you to be her father, right? What if she wanted you to be there? Hopefully, maybe like seeing if you would work with the relationship with her and that she wanted your support. It doesn't matter if you're close to one of your kids or not. You are still their parent and they still expect you to be there and count on you to be there. she she's what I considered a my different slash boring child. No, you don't deserve to be a father. Always on her phone around me. We never shared any interest because you probably didn't try. It's not like we're buddy buddy. Angie's always had social problems. See? And I'm quite close to Lauren. She's very funny and outgoing and enjoys engaging in conversation because she's older. She knows how to do that. But Lauren Angie is shy. She's just shy. And if maybe you've got to get into her interest, that would be more understanding. Right? Engaging debates with me. Outed since someone I said I barely knew Lauren. Right? You are the a hole. And your justifications are meaningless. I do agree with this person who says you are the a hole and you know it. All your justifications and reasons are meaningless. You lied and got caught. Exactly. Do not expect a relationship with your daughter in the future. Right? Do not expect that. You have done destroyed your relationship with your daughter over somebody who could potentially be your other daughter, which in point in case she's grown, she doesn't need raising, she doesn't need that, she's already had all of that support. And high school graduations happen once, right? You can go get a college and graduate college over and over and over and over again, right? And there are people who do it all the time, who walk and do all of that over and over and over again, right? And that just depends on if they have multiple fields, right? It's just, this is kind of sad and heartbreaking to see. You are still her dad, and but I don't think she's ever going to reach out to you again, and I hope you are prepared for those consequences. And that those actions basically. So, on to the next story, shall we? Alrighty, everybody, we're about to move on to our next story. And this story is: am I the a hole for wanting to divorce my husband after he left me at the hospital? Oh boy. Let's hop into it. I, 29 female, have been married to my husband, 28 female, for almost 5 years. So lately, I've been having feelings that my husband isn't as into this marriage as I am. All right. That is something that sounds like y'all need to talk about, but we'll continue on to the story before I even put my opinion in. He has been more focused on video games and Discord than he has been on me. It's been honestly feeling more like we are roommates than we are husband and wife. Well, last night kind of opened my eyes. Alrighty. For context, I have epilepsy and PCOS. Oh, I'm so sorry. Those are really hard things to deal with, and I feel so bad for you. We've been trying to have a baby for the past 4 years, and I've had two miscarriages already. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. I I am a week late and I took a pregnancy test yesterday which came back negative. I told my husband and he just said it's okay, we'll try again. Wasn't really upset, but I didn't think much of it because he's a guy and this isn't our first negative. However, it broke me because I just dreamt the night before about the test being positive. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sometimes, I feel so bad when things like that happen to people because it does get your hopes up, and I'm sorry you had to go through that. We went to my parents' house for Sunday dinner. Like normal, during dinner, I had my normal auroras that was that I was about to have a seizure. Okay, I don't know if I said that word right. Right. I ended up having three back to back, one for 1 minute, next for four, and the last 8 minutes long. I ended up being taken to the hospital by an ambulance. I had to be alone in the room for about an hour before my family was allowed back there with me. My husband and mom came into the room, and my husband stayed for only about 10 minutes before he said he needed to head home. I was upset but knew we had four animals that needed to be let out, so I understood. Okay. This is until he left and my mom told me the full story. When I was when I was still in the ambulance, hadn't even left the driveway, mind you, my husband was complaining about the financial issues with this and then told my mom that he would only be at the hospital for 10 minutes because he needed to do laundry and mow the lawn. I don't know. Sounds like a bunch of excuses to me. I don't like that. I'm sorry, but house chores are more important than me. Your wife, exactly. And when he asked what he could have caused the seizure, she told him it could have been the negative pregnancy test. Which, yeah, sometimes I did hear, and I'm not a medical professional, but I did hear like stress or like really heightened emotions can cause seizures. I'm not too sure about that, but yes, he rolled his eyes. Oh, oh my god, divorce. Divorce. I don't even need to read the rest of this. My parents stood with me the entire time I was at the hospital, not once leaving my side, but he left before the doctor even came in to see me. I had to actually beg him to come back to the hospital and and he still asked if he needed to come back to the hospital. Didn't even offer. He actually asked because apparently my well-being isn't enough to stick by my side. If the roles were reversed, this would have been a no-brainer. I wouldn't have left him even once. I would have worried about everything after the fact. And now I'm seriously questioning the man I married and rethinking my life choices. I never thought I would have to question my own husband on how devoted he is to me. So am I the a-hole for wanting a divorce? No, I would divorce him. There are like several things he's done wrong here. Like, okay, if you are feeling like, your marriage is kind of falling apart, that is something you need to talk about to each other. All right, and that's not like the problem here. The problem here is his attitude. And I bet if you go check his Discord server, I promise you there's probably something on there. All right, because men don't get that way unless, there's something going on. So I would definitely check that Discord server or Discord. I would check his Discord. I don't know if he's in a server or not. But I do not like the way he's acting. He's acting like he has way like I'm sorry. If you're going to sit there and act like you have way better things to do than take care of your partner because you forget like sometimes those vows are said through sickness and in health you are to take care of your partner through sickness and in health. And I take those vows very seriously because, those are the vows I made to my partner. And those are very important vows because they make your partner feel better and actually, makes your partner feel good and safe and secure. It's always nice to make your partner feel safe and secure with you. But I don't like that. I don't like his attitude. I don't like anything. And I would divorce him. And someone wrote, not the a hole. He's shown you who he is and will be. He will not support you in your worst moments and consider what kind of a father he would be if he can't even be there for you when you're in the hospital. If you're thinking divorce, now do it before there are children involved. Point blank period. Exactly. Like when you start to feel like you are a stranger in your own marriage and stuff like that, that is something you really need to start going to either counseling or consider leaving that person. As much as I hate that. Um so Reddit deemed this person not the a-hole. Actually, a lot of people are telling her to get a divorce. Alrighty, on to the next story. Shall we? Alrighty, we're about to move on to our next story, and this one is called Am I the A-hole for doing the dirty with my sister-in-law on the wedding night? Oh boy. Hey Reddit. I was the I was best man for my brother's wedding. The maid of honor was his bride's sister. I am 24 male, while the sister, Katie, was 20 female. I'm sorry, I said 24. 20 female. We really hit it off right away. We study the same subjects in school. She's witty and funny, and we get along really well. Oh, okay. The day of the wedding, my brother and dad pulled me aside and gave me strict orders not to talk or initiate anything with Katie. I said that would be hard as we literally walked up the aisle together. He said that was fine, but other than that, no contact. He turned to me and said, "This is my day, and I can tell you like her by the way you guys are interacting. Stop being selfish, bro, and be a good brother for once in your life." Oh, okay. Okay. I kind of understand where the brother's coming from. Like, hey, I don't want you to be doing this on my wedding day. Please be respectful of that, But the way he's stating it is a total a-hole move. I'm sorry. That is a real a-hole move there. Okay. This shocked me as we had a good relationship, but I get he was stressed. Okay, so it's probably his wife, trying to protect her sister or something. Probably someone's in his ear. Wedding was going well, and I obeyed them for the first part of the day. She wanted to dance, but I said no. She looked hurt and confronted me when I was getting a drink. And she said, "We're having so much fun before the day of the wedding. What changed? I really like you and I want to get to know you better. Do you feel the same way?" I said yes and apologized, and we danced. Okay, I understand, like, these are feelings, and you know what? I feel like yeah, the brothers are being a little bit controlling, but I can understand where the brother's like, hey, he probably has his wife in his ear about something. So, my dad forcefully tried to pull me off the dance floor, but I ignored him. I got a text from my brother during the party that I was not to talk to her. Why? Like, why? Did your wife put you up to this? Or are you're just being weird? I replied, dude, what the F? I get it's your day, but what's the deal? We ended up making out after my brother and his bride to the hotel. Okay, after they went to the hotel. We went back to the hotel holding hands, laughing, and we finally kissed. Well, we had dirty time in my room and I got her number. We're going to have a real first date this week. Okay. I got a text from my brother later that day that his new wife told him what happened and he's extremely angry and couldn't believe I was so selfish. My dad threw a fit when he found out and said he won't pay for my wedding when it happens. Okay, I told him I don't care because I have a good job now. I feel bad though. Did I ruin the day for my brother? Am I the a-hole? Okay. No, you are not the a-hole. You are an adult. You can do the dirty with anybody you like. But at the same time, if you guys really like each other and y'all have really bonded over this, I 100%, if y'all like have a good relationship and stuff like that, go for it. And you know what? Wedding is supposed to be filled with love, and weddings are supposed to be filled with love and all of that, and just having a good time and celebrating love. And so for your brother, I feel like either somebody was whispering in his ear or his brother has feelings for the bride's sister. One of the two. It doesn't say anything after that, but that's kind of off, and I do not like that. Right? He's being a little weird about it. So, what has someone said? Not the a-hole. You can have the dirty with anybody who's not your brother or your dad. It is none of their business and doesn't affect them in any way. Exactly. You are both consenting adults. It's not that big a deal at all. They're just overacting. Exactly. It sounds like either the brother wanted all the focus on him and like something weird is going on. I do not like this. But Reddit deemed this person not the a-hole. So on to our next story, shall we? Alrighty, everybody, we're on our next story, and this one is am I the a-hole for ending my marriage now over a long finished affair? I'm already gonna tell you no, you're not the a-hole. Like some people, can forgive, but they cannot forget. And it makes it really hard on that. So we're gonna go on to the story, shall we? I 34 female and he's 36 male. We've been married 8 years, 2 kids, 6 and 4, a house, nothing fancy, but I really thought we had a solid, boringly stable life. About a month ago, I was organizing old photos on our shared computer and I found this random pickup folder from 2019. Most of it was receipts and work stuff, and then I opened up one file and saw a hotel booking confirmation. Same folder had a blurry, very intimate selfies that were very clearly not me from the same day. My stomach just dropped. I confronted him that night and he went pale and didn't even try to lie. He admitted he had a 6 month affair with a coworker during a really rough time in our marriage when our oldest was a newborn. We were exhausted, fighting all the time and barely holding it together. He says he ended it when she moved away, that he cut all contact. So if he was still around, he would still be cheating. Okay, that's not okay. Automatically divorce. Leave him. He never told me because it was over and wouldn't happen again. And from what I can tell, it didn't. Since then, he's honestly been a really solid partner, supportive, affectionate, very involved with the kids, no red flags at all. I had zero clue. No, I feel like my whole life is fake. All the memories I thought were happy, like our anniversary trip, our baby's first steps, even when we convinced conceived conceived our second kid, all of during or right after he was lying to me. Everything feels tainted. I would leave. I left and I'm staying with my sister now. And I told him, I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel furious, shattered, embarrassed. He's begging me to forgive him. He should have thought about that before he cheated on you. Saying he was selfish and he thought he was protecting me from pain by keeping it a secret. He's gaslighting. His family knows and they're on to me not to throw away a good marriage over something that ended years ago. Even my mom said something like, he's been good since then. Is it worth breaking your kid's home over something in the past? But it did happen. I just found out now. I didn't go through the hurt back then. So now I'm going through it now. And it feels brand new to me. Like some old thing that's over. Am I the a hole for potentially ending my marriage over an affair that technically ended years ago? No, babes. Honestly, divorce. Because the fact that he hid it from you, knew he was wrong, he wasn't protecting you, he was gaslighting you. And I would cut off any other family member that's being that way, right? Just because it happened years ago doesn't mean you won't be affected by it today, right? There are so many emotions that you didn't know, and the fact that you just found this out and he hid it from you tells me everything I need to know. Like, he lied and he played it off, and the fact that he said, oh, she moved away, that tells me right then and there that if she did not move away, he would probably still be having an affair with her. So, absolutely not. I would leave him. So, this person was deemed not the a-hole, and someone says, I think you in fact had a newborn makes it so much worse. You're tired and you just carried a baby for 9 months, given birth, and gone through postpartum. Instead of supporting you, he runs off to have an affair. Exactly. He abandoned the marriage, he abandoned everything just so he can go, have a little spanky nakey time with someone, right? And instead of supporting you, his wife, right? And that's hard to forgive. Point blank, period. So, I honestly believe this person is not the a hole, but she does need to divorce him. And everybody else is agreeing in the comments. He had, again, someone just said he had 7 years. He had 7 years to tell you, and he didn't. That's manipulative. That's not okay at all. And the fact that he hasn't told you, the fact that he hasn't said anything to you and expects this to be okay is not okay at all. Like, personally, to me, that is not okay. So, with that being said, we're on our last story again. So, that will be all for today. Hopefully soon I will drop another one of these videos. But until then, I hope this keeps you satisfied. And that is it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope I see you guys soon. Whimzy out. Bye!